Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of Paranormal Round Table. Paranormal being 3 words, Paranormal Round Table. I was told by my man over here, not you, Sal, but the guy that keeps us going here, the guy that cracks the
Tony.
whip on us, our production manager, I guess you call him.
And creative director. And
his name is Tony. He's the one behind the, him and Mr. Moreno here, they're behind the magic.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all want to say hi?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. And
yeah,
they're the ones that crack the whip on, and it's me and my pal Armando are slaving under a hot microphone. They're the ones that are cracking the whip,
man. It's
taskmastering us, forcing us for all eternity to do shows for you, for your entertainment pleasure.
No, we're just kidding. We enjoy doing this. This is fun. But today
you do, but like I said, I'm being forced into this.
Well, hey,
I'm just kidding, folks. I enjoy it. I love it. Me and Armando both have a passion for this, and if you've heard any of the shows, then you know that we do love what we do.
Yeah.
You want to get started with what recapping last?
Now talking about our last episode, man. Okay, Dogman. Okay, I get it. There's a lot of it. It's up and coming. It's more and more, and people having those encounters, but okay, cat people, dude, that took me to another level. That took me
and
to
here we go with the Taskmaster. He's telling me I better plug my email. Okay, don't hit me, sir. Don't hit me, please, sir.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't hit me, Tony. Yeah. All right. So anyway, that was horrible acting. Anyways, the email is daswolfman88@gmail.com. daswolfman88@gmail.com. All right. Now, I'm gonna rap it to you. daswolfman88@gmail.com. That was a horrible rap, too.
Yes.
So I'm not an actor, and I'm not a rapper.
Neither am I.
But you know what? That is the email.
That it is. And folks, always remember, we want to hear your story. Send it to us. We'll get to it as fast as we can.
Yeah. I think I could have been a rapper if I really tried.
I don't know about the whole rap thing, brother.
Well, you know what? I'm going to do that as my side project.
Hey, let me know when you start recording, because I want to be in the studio.
Okay. All right. You don't think I can do it?
No, hey, brother, you can do it better than I can. That's for sure.
I'll be like MCP Pants over here. You don't know.
I am zero rapper over here. None. None.
Well, folks, I could have. You know what? Back in the day, I did listen to a lot of Eazy-E albums. And so just because of that, just like I learned Kung Fu from watching old movies.
Hey, I used to watch Kung Fu theater, too.
Hey, you know what? So we can both do Kung Fu just because of that principle.
Hey, there you go.
All joking aside, though, I can fight.
Oh, hey.
I am a good fighter, and Sal can attest to that because he's met lots of people.
Yeah, I heard lots of people attesting.
Lots of stories. I used to be a brawler downtown, guys. I used to be a fighter. But that's not what we're here for. We're not here to talk about the old days and the glory days, the days of blood and
We all
splendor.
do that. We talk about our glory days. That's what people do. But
that's what old people do. Once you get old, you're like, I remember the back of the days before your flicker boxes and your flying machines.
There you go.
Yeah, and your creeping pastas.
Okay, that's still, that still to me is a bowl of something I don't want to eat.
I just don't, Let me ask Tony, you don't think I can flow as a rapper?
Well, he did hold up the sign that said, please no.
I saw that. That was so insulting.
Yeah, but it comes from a place of love,
that is horrible.
It's from love.
Well, you guys can't really hear me, but I was just trying to protect the audience.
Protect the audience from,
He was trying to save us from something. I don't know, but anyways, we got Bigfoot on the menu tonight. But before we go into those stories, dude, the ghost of FoodLand. Okay, that title for that story.
That is so funny. Now that's your title,
right? I mean, but that's the only thing. That's the only thing I could come up with. But you got to tell me that story.
Ghost of FoodLand. Yeah.
Yeah. Please tell me that one.
Well, it's very simple. There was a grocery store that I used to work at.
Back in the day, right?
Back in the day, which was a Tuesday, I believe. No, back in the day, I worked at a grocery store, and I was just telling Armando in passing, and he was like, you got to tell that story. And I'm just like, that's so weird, because I do have a lot of ghost stories. I really do. Personal ghost stories, too. Now, I'm going to make sure that you understand this before I start talking about this. None of these things happened to me. I did not once see a ghost at FoodLand, nor did I ever have anything weird or creepy happen to me. Now, that being said, I worked with 3 people that did have things happen to them, and I had 2 managers that swore that something had happened to them. So, I mean, what do you know? I mean, it's their story. They said that it happened to them. They said that a couple of them had been working there for a while. FoodLand doesn't exist anymore. It just doesn't. The name just sounds ridiculous. To me.
It just does. But
FoodLand. It doesn't.
Well, independent grocery store. That's people.
Well,
come
no,
up with
actually,
those names.
it was a chain.
Oh, what?
They had one in Ben White, and I think they had one over there where I was at, off of Riverside.
I guess exclusive to Texas.
Austin. But when I first when I first came to Austin, when I got exiled here, I guess that it was like. That was the grocery store that my mom would go to because it was
right there, right?
It was close to where we lived, and my mom had moved to Austin and had a job. And I want to get into some stories that she had when she was working at this place years ago, not at the FoodLand, but another place. So just that's another episode.
Yeah, we got to get into that episode.
My mom has some stories, but
our creative director over there needs to write that down. Look, he's writing. All right, hey, thanks a lot.
Lazy director that doesn't do anything but play on his iPad. Just kidding, Tony. Anyway, so what happened was this FoodLand grocery store. My mom would take me there, and I was a child that had some anger problems, so I had gotten out of detention, if you want to say, and so I needed a job. And I was kind of lounging around my mom's house, and she didn't know, but like I was boxing, like I would sneak off, go on the bus. She told me she didn't want me doing it, but I did it anyway. And I met some people, and kind of had a little job working for them, but it wasn't totally legit, and it wasn't drugs or anything.
Just
like that.
paid under the table for doing work.
Yeah, because I could punch pretty good. So long story short, my mom tells me you need to get a job, and I said, well, I almost opened my big mouth and said I had a job, and she was like, I don't know what you're doing, but you have 5 different baseball hats, and like you're wearing these shirts that
cost money.
You can't afford. She's like, so whatever you're doing, you need to stop.
Oh.
And like I said, it wasn't drugs, but it wasn't necessarily, So she told me you needed to stop. You need to get a job. And so what does she do? She takes me to FoodLand with her to go grocery shopping, and she forces me to get a job there by just putting me on the spot and saying, oh, my son needs a job.
Way to go,
and this old guy that was the manager there acted real friendly and nice because he really liked my mom. But the first day I go to work for this guy, I realized he was a jerk. Like, he was not a nice guy. And then I look back on it years later, and I thought, I was not a good guy either, so maybe I was just a little jerk, and he didn't like me. But he just seemed like a crotchety old guy. And one day, we were sitting in the back, and he decided to tell me, for whatever reason, he goes, this place is haunted. And I didn't prompt this guy, and I think he wanted to get rid of me at the time.
Yeah.
And so maybe he was just, at that point, he was probably grasping at straws. Because I wasn't a model employee, but I did do my job, and I didn't, but I was argumentative at times.
Yes.
In the way that a 16-year-old is kind of, whatever, I don't know.
A bit rebellious.
Yeah, like when it was time to buff the floors at night,
yes.
that was the person that got out last, and we rotated.
Yes.
So that I would get the other employees to do it, and so I didn't have to do it because I was just that way.
Oh.
And yeah, I was always trying to find a way out of getting the things done, and like I said, I was always pretty big, strong kid, and I could usually get my way. Not a bully, not really a bully, but the other kids that worked there wanted to be my friend.
No.
So then they were like, hey, if I asked them to do something for me, they would just do it because I'd have their back when it came.
There you go.
This is a bad neighborhood, too. It wasn't like the nicest neighborhood. The nicer neighborhoods had HEBs and other places you could go shop at, not FoodLand.
Yeah.
So
I take it this FoodLand is no longer, hasn't been?
Well, no, actually, it still exists, I think, in
chain?
Fort Worth,
Okay.
and like maybe in Dallas or something like that, but it doesn't exist down here.
Yeah, the store you worked at, right?
No.
Okay.
They haven't been in Austin in 25 years or something like that.
Hey, brother.
So, I don't know anything about the chain now. I just know that that's where I worked, and there was, it's now a bingo hall.
Oh, okay.
And we actually had that account temporarily. We did security.
Oh, you did security there?
I didn't, but my people did.
Cool.
And but yeah, that place, the building is old, and I don't know the whole story, but this guy, this old man, and I don't have permission to use his name, so I'm not going to say anything, and I don't even know if he's still alive. He was pretty old, and he was just a cantankerous old man, and he said, "This place is haunted. You know that." And I was like, "Oh, really?" Like, and of course, being the 16-year-old, that, you know, I'm just like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, old man. You probably think." No, he said, "No, for real." He goes, "I've been working here for years," and he's like, said that there were times when they were stocking the shelves at night, and that cans of food had gone like falling off the shelves, and that he saw someone laying on the floor one time.
Whoa,
and him and one of the other managers were locking up, and they were like, "Ma'am, you need to get off the floor." And as they walked toward her, it was almost like she sank into the ground.
Oh, wow, that's freaky.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he was telling me this, and I'm just like, okay. So I went and I told my friend Mike, and I'm not going to say the rest of his name, but that was his name. And I went to school with this kid, and I was like, what is this guy's deal? He's over here talking about ghosts, you know, like, is this real? And he goes, and I've always had an interest in it. So I thought maybe he thought I had an interest in it or something, but I don't know why he, you know. So anyways, Michael tells me, yeah, he's right. This place is haunted. And I'm like, okay. So it's him and a checker named Elizabeth. And I haven't seen these people in years and years. But they are, and if you're listening, hi, you were my friends at one time. We kind of just lost touch. I went away and then came back. But they told me some stories. Like, we went out one night, and not out because I'm 16. I couldn't do it. My mom was starting to put a little stronger, and, you know,
she was pressuring you.
She was pressuring me to behave. Yeah. And the only time I ever behaved was football season, but then it was bad again. But it was like, okay, I'll behave to get what I need, and then that's it. I wasn't a good kid. Let's put it that way. So anyways, we went and we hung out at some friend's house or whatever. And I went over there, and it was like a Friday night. And they started telling me ghost stories. And one of the stories was that she was in the back putting on her smock or whatever it was for work.
Oh, yeah, the little apron.
And it was like something yanked it from her.
Oh, wow.
And that at one point she was in the stall, and when she was trying to pull the stall door open, that something was holding it closed. And then she even said that she went so far to say that a lot of the activity was based in the back of the building. And that it was near the woman's bathroom, that was like where and we had like little lockers, you know?
Yeah.
And that something actually kicked her one time.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was just like, whoa. And she goes, yeah. She goes, whatever it is, it's kicked me. I felt it, like, not hard, you know?
But it was a kick.
But she's like, you know, and this was like, for lack of a better term, she was a cholita, you know. She was like, something kicked me, you know, and she's like, I would have cut it, you know. And she's like, you know,
she thought it was somebody.
Well, she didn't know. She turned around, and she was kind of like that, man. She was from Montopolis, and Montopolis here in Austin, especially back in the early '90s, was a very rough area. That's where I used to box.
Oh.
I used to go there and do stuff. But
so she was kind of a little rough customer herself.
She was, and I tell you, Liz told me that she was ready to fight, and she turned around and there was nobody there, and she's like, there was nothing there, you know. And she's like, it was a ghost, you know, as we say, a kukui,
yeah,
you know. And so, and most of these people that I worked with were Hispanic, you know. Yes. But my one immediate boss was a crotchety old white guy,
Caucasian man.
Caucasian, yeah, but he was all right. He was just really crotchety, and he was from a town outside of Austin. And I wondered why he drove all the way to Austin to work, but I guess he just wanted something to do because he was a retired military, I think is what it was. You know, as we know, retired military people are just the worst. I'm just kidding. I'm messing with you.
Oh, yes, we are.
I am messing with you, man. That is absolutely not true, man. I appreciate everything.
We go from nice to totally instant a-hole quickly.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was more of a hired gun, if you say this.
That's a whole nother story.
Here's a whole nother story. We're not going to ever get into that. Yeah. Ever. Strike that from the record. No, seriously, what's going on with this guy, though, is that he starts telling me all these stories, and then Michael tells me, and then kind of at first I'm going like, maybe they concocted it or something. They got together. But then I'm like thinking, no, there's got to be something to it. Nothing ever happened to me. Now, the guy that ran the butcher area, he told me a story too, some really weird story. And so I kind of started to believe it because, you know, he was actually pretty cool. He was the general manager's son. Now, usually when there's a situation like that, they're like, I can do what I want. Yes. But this guy was a hard worker, and he was actually really cool. And the general manager and me were closing up one night, And it was just his son was kind of hanging out to help do something in the back. They were doing like a general clean.
Yes.
And so I just remember them talking, and I told him, I said, I'm not going to say his name, Mr. So-and-so told me some ghost stories.
The old guy.
The old guy, yeah. And this guy, he was actually a Hispanic gentleman, this guy, he said, he goes, oh, he told you some stories, right?
About the cucuy.
Yeah, and he's like, mentiras, and he's like, just like, which means like, he's lying, whatever. And I thought, I don't think he's being serious. I think he's like trying to keep me from believing it, And I was like, well, if if it's haunted, just tell me. And so he didn't say anything that day, but his son kind of looked at me and was like, well, there's been some weird stuff. And then later on, I was like, what do you mean? Well, he said that one time he came in and some meat that they had processed and done, wrapped or whatever, that it was just like laid out all over the ground. Like somebody had come in, and there were no signs of like anybody breaking in. There was no forced entry or exit, anything like that. No alarms. It was just somebody had spread the meat out all over the place. And it was just so weird. And he said in the way that it was almost like a pattern.
Oh, that's interesting.
And he said he couldn't really tell me what it was, but that was, yeah. And so there was some weird things that went on at that place. But like I said, I never witnessed any of these. And then I asked my friend that I was good friends with, and he told me that something really weird had happened to him there. And it was just like, he never did go into detail of what that was.
Oh, he just gave you a brief.
No, he never did tell me, but he did say, he said, yeah, I think this place is haunted. And the cashier said that, and the general manager eventually did tell me that there was something really weird, that the customers,
even customers
would complain that, like one lady said that something like the magazines, it was like a magazine area. Because, you hardly don't see that anymore.
Yeah,
I guess,
you don't hardly see the magazine
everything's
racks.
digital, right?
Yes.
So, anyways, the magazine area, like there were some magazines, and like an issue of some magazine, like flapped her in the face.
Oh, whoa, man!
Like it flapped, literally like toward her, and bam,
Well, as if somebody grabbed it and smacked her in the head with it.
Like the way that I was described was like it like flapped, like it flapped
like
itself, almost like like it came towards her, and then she filed a complaint, and then someone else claimed they were in the frozen food section. Now, here's a creepy one. He told me that someone went to we had those freezers that were in the middle of the aisle that were open face freezers that you go stand over and grab. You don't see those too much anymore.
No,
they're the kind that are stocked from the inside, and then you go as the consumer and you open the door to take out the product. Well, these things were in the middle of the floor, and this was weird, man. Somebody had complained that they went to get like vegetables, the boxes of vegetables, and that something grabbed their hand and pulled them into the freezer and was pulling them in.
Oh my
God. And they tugged and they got loose. Didn't see the hand, but did feel like there was a hand grabbing, and literally made like a bruise on their hand, on their wrist, like a bruise, but they said it was like red marks.
Oh, good Lord!
Yeah, he said there was like red marks on their hand, and that he personally was by the back woman's bathroom, and he heard like a woman crying.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what both of the managers had told me, that they heard like a woman crying, and that the woman's bathroom door flew open, like somebody was walking into it. And they were, both the managers were there and witnessed this. And so, so that was
that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I like I said, nothing ever happened to me, but I was only there for about 3 or 4 months. So, and I only worked about 3 or 4 days a week, about 4 to 6 hours a day or something.
Wow. So, I mean,
because I was a high school kid. So, and it just,
the whole, you can't work full time type deal, just part time.
Yeah. And so I didn't really, I was just like, cool stories, but nothing ever happened to me.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was not afraid of ghosts, really. Right. I didn't really care. I was just like, you know what? If it happens, it happens. Right. And I was kind of wanting to see something, a little, But I had up to that point, I had seen the dog man when I was 15.
Correct.
Now I made the mistake of telling a couple of these people that what I had seen, and they just looked at me like I was the biggest liar on earth. And so I just said, "Oh, okay, you don't believe that I saw an 8 foot tall hairy wolf on 2 legs? Screw you, I don't believe that somebody pulled you into the cream corn. How about that? But then, of course, that didn't happen to the worker. It happened to a customer.
Correct. No, I mean, you can't just discount all of that because you've counted off 4 employees that work there with their odd experiences. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, customers, why would a customer complain about something
and it was more than one. If it was just like one crazy cat lady coming in there and saying,
I could understand that.
Today a Harry Potter book flew at me. Yesterday I was attacked by cream corn. Then you would think this person's off their rocker. It's the same person complaining every day. Maybe they need to get different medication or get off the medication. But no, what it was a variety of people who had actually complained and said things that happened. One story I heard, Michael, the one that was my friend. Yeah. He didn't tell his personal encounter. He just kind of was like, he's Hispanic, and some Hispanics are superstitious. You got to know
some are not. Some don't want to say.
Some don't talk about it because then you talk it up, as they say.
And
then so you don't want to talk up the kukuy. But he saw a woman get tripped, almost like somebody had stuck a leg out or something, or grabbed their ankle, and the woman tripped and almost fell, and there was nothing there.
That's
weird,
really weird.
Weird things. A little kid was running. That's another story I heard, and that it was almost like somebody stuck their arm out and clotheslined him.
Oh, wow, that.
Yeah, and I thought that was funny in a way that just the kids running around, it was always annoying when you're trying to mop or sweep, and they just come,
yeah,
and they just come running through. That. Yeah, and their little herd or whatever they're doing.
That is
but yeah, and then he said that one time he saw somebody basically clothesline this child, and he saw it. So. Anyways, that's that story. I can't. There were a couple other things that they had said, but I can't really remember off the top of my head. I tried to remember the stories, but that is the ghosts of FoodLand.
Yeah, that's just. I can only imagine the poor general manager, or maybe the old guy. I mean, who knows how long he had been working there? How much he really had seen?
How much had the spirits disturbed him to make him into that crotchety old man?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because he was definitely that. And I've met some pretty cool old guys. And I've met some pretty cantankerous old guys, and he was on the cantankerous side.
Oh, wow.
There's a guy that we used to work with. I know my sound guy.
Our sound.
You remember a guy we used to work with that was quite the cantankerous old individual.
That's amazing. I mean, it's some of these stories. I mean, for future shows, there's so much material out there for us to talk about. And just to give you a quick little snippet of this, here in Texas, we have what's called the Devil's Backbone, which is going to be later on, another episode. But trust me, ladies and gentlemen, there is so much weirdness and high strangeness that goes on in the state of Texas. Of course, we're a big, big state.
The Backbone is very interesting. I have a lot of tales from that place.
Yes, we do.
I've actually camped out there. It's one of the only times that I went camping. Because like anybody knows me, I don't like going into the woods because I saw a 7.5 foot tall hairy dogman thing that I don't want to encounter again. I'm not saying it's the same individual, but I don't want to encounter them because I know they're there.
Yes. And so with that, keep your ears tuned for the Devil's Backbone episode, but let's switch gears and let's get over to some Bigfoot stories.
Bigfoot stories.
Bigfoot stories. I know you've got, as the old saying goes, I know you got a ton of those.
I got a ton of Bigfoot stories. Now, one thing about this whole subject, it's so controversial now. I just want to say there's 2 subjects that I do have a lot of. I have a lot of UFO stories, and I have a lot of Bigfoot stories. But the community of Bigfoot and the community of UFOs is so divisive, and there's not much unity there. There is a lot of just back and forth fighting and backbiting, and people that have seen UFOs will say that they don't believe in Bigfoot and they don't believe in Dogman, and the people who have seen Bigfoot will say they don't believe in UFOs or Dogman, but then some people believe in all of it.
Or have seen both.
Or have seen that. Now, I will just say this. I have not personally, I have a Bigfoot story, but I did not see it with my own eyes. So I don't take claim that it is a Bigfoot. I don't have a UFO story, but I came really close. And what I mean by that, I'll tell this story.
Oh, yeah.
I'll start off just real quick. I'll tell a UFO story.
All right.
There's a place here in Austin, outside, well, I guess it's outside of Austin, called Mount Bonnell. Now, if anybody's familiar with this area, Mount Bonnell, it's the highest peak in Austin. We have a little mountain here, and you can climb up that mountain via steps that they've put on it. And then there's tons of people that go up there now, and most of them are from some other country. And not to knock people that are foreigners or whatever, but I'm talking from all over the place.
People come from all over the world to see it?
Have you not been? Are you from another? Are you an alien?
No.
Have you been to Mount Bonnell?
No, I didn't know that it was that popular.
I went to Mount Bonnell a couple years ago when my wife first came.
I didn't know it was that popular.
From LA, and she was like, "Let's go to Mount Bonnell and check it out." And I'm like, "No, it really sucks because now, and then it closes at a certain time, like some sort of a theme park or something."
I didn't realize it was that popular.
I used to go and hang out at Mount Bonnell. Let me tell you something. I used to hang out at Mount Bonnell in the early '90s when I was a kid. About the FoodLand years, okay? And I used to go to Mount Bonnell, and I would hang out, and I would try to make out with girls or whatever I was doing as a
young teenager,
as a young man. And I would go up there and I would hang out with my friends, and we'd yell off of and you could hear the echo. And I'm sure the people that lived in the houses around there's houses on the other side of this.
Yes, there is.
There's like this little canyon, and we would yell, and I bet you they hated that echo just bouncing off of there. We'd yell our names all night. But anyway, you could go up there, and there wasn't a million people. Now you go there now. I bet if you go right now this minute, there's going to be cars and cars and cars as far as you can see.
Wow.
And there's going to be a ton of people walking around out there. But back then, no, it wasn't. And so you could go up there, and you could be up there 2 or 3 in the morning.
Oh, nobody really. The cops
nobody really
worked up
hassled
about
it. There would be a cop or something that might come through there once in a blue moon, and as long as you weren't doing anything, they didn't catch you smoking something or drinking underage.
Yes.
Or any of those other things that I never did.
They just leave you alone then.
They would just leave you alone, and you would go, "Get out of here," and they just leave you alone. No, I'm just kidding. No, the cops. I never really had any problems with the police. They would just be like, "Are you kids doing?" And we're not doing anything bad, and they'd leave us alone. Well, one night we were up there, and I was with about 5 people, and I was laying on a cement bench, and it's a bigger place. It's not like one spot. There's like 2 or 3 different spots where you can look out over the river or whatever, and so. My friends were on the other side, and I was hanging out with this girl, and I'll just be real honest. It got really boring because she was just like,
not interested.
Well, I don't know, and I'm like, well, I do. I'm just going to lay here on the bench because you're boring, and there's nothing going to happen here, so I'm just going to look up at the sky. And I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was one of those things where she was still like dating some,
She's interested in you, but
she's still with some other guy, and it was one of those high school things where you're so stupid. You're just so stupid. You're like, I was so into this girl, and she has a boyfriend now. This sucks, man. So, anyways, I was just like, you know what? I'm no longer into you, and I just laid there on that bench, and I was looking up at the sky, and then she starts talking to me. So I literally turned my head and just kind of we're talking, and she's looking at me. I'm looking at her, and she's kind of apologizing, like, I'm sorry if I led you on, and blah blah blah. Now, what I remember is my friends come running up, and they're like, "Oh my God, we just saw a UFO." And I'm like, what? And I look up, and just for a split second, I thought I saw a flash, like a real quick up in the sky.
Uh-huh.
And that was it. And I can't say that was UFO. I don't know what that was. Well, but my friends, no, hold on. Now let me get to the meat and potatoes here. My friends, they said that it was me and this girl, and I think 3 other people, and 3 or 4, and my friends claimed, all of them, that they saw what they thought was a star. They were all just leaned back on it was the west end of the mountain.
Uh-huh.
And they were looking up, and they saw this like star just change color and then start to move, and like it was just cruising along like it was moving, like it was, and then they were like, it wasn't a plane, and then they said it just shot up, like it went, like it started disappearing and then streaked across the sky, and like was streaking across the sky, I guess. And then they came running up, and I guess it stopped.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they said it stopped. And then by the time they came yelling and screaming, then I just saw like a quick flash.
And it was gone.
But I didn't, I just caught the end of it.
Yeah, you didn't get the full experience, so to speak.
I didn't get the UFO experience. No, I did not.
Wow,
and that is something that I will always regret, because I was too busy looking at this person that was not,
I would say that was just kind of one of those luck of the draw deals. in regards to the direction you were looking at. They happened to be
I've
looking
always
in the
been
right
resentful
place.
toward these aliens for that because I think that they cheated me out of my experience.
They should have shown
They were
themselves.
like looking down, and they were like, I imagine that they were like mantis people, and that's just how that's my image, and I want to believe that. And they were like, "No, he's looking," and then they disappeared right when I.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah, like
No one will ever
that,
know.
That thing from Space Ghost. I was kind of thinking
Yes.
that's probably what it was. No, but anyway, in all seriousness, that was, and then the whole ride back. We're in my friend's like mom's minivan.
So everybody was talking about it?
Yeah, and like I said, we're like in a little van. We're all crammed in there, right? And the whole way back, my friend's in his mom's van, and he's like, "Whoa, that was crazy!" And everybody thinks it's incredible, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, "Wow, I missed it." And this was a really miserable night, and that's all I remember about that.
That's really interesting because normally people clam up about stuff like that. They
Not
see,
for seeing something in the sky. I think if they're abducted, maybe they would be.
Well,
but
no,
you're talking about a gang of teenagers, dude, and
Well,
it was
that's
more
true. You are
magical, I think,
correct
than it
about
was
that.
anybody seeing some fire in the sky. This isn't, what's his name?
The
Walton?
abduction, Travis Walton.
Travis Walton.
Yeah.
No,
Hey,
let me
that's an
clarify,
interesting
folks.
story.
Nobody got abducted. Okay, I think
was just-
my buddy here.
I'm just.
I think
I'm
you're
just thinking that-
overreacting because it wasn't. It was like, wow, we saw something going into the sky.
Well,
and
the
you're talking
stigma
about a
that
gang
comes with-
of rambunctious teenagers. I
Yeah.
don't think anybody was like, because it was like we went to school. A couple of guys, I think the guys, we all went to one school and the girls actually went to another. If I remember correctly, they were like from whatever the high school was. And we were at school and everybody was like, we saw a UFO. And they were trying to get me to say, yeah, you saw it too. And I was like, they would ask me and I would just be like, this,
I saw a glimpse.
it is what it is. That's all I could say. And then they would be like, well, he's not agreeing with you. And I'd be like, yeah, it's UFOs. It's U and it's an F and it's an O. And that's how it works. And that's what happens. And then it does it. And then I walk off because I couldn't. And my one friend, he would get mad because I wouldn't say that I saw it. And I'm like, I didn't see it. You want me to lie and say that I saw it? I will just say, hey, you saw a UFO and I was in the vicinity. Okay.
Yeah, well, you caught a glimpse, and so you really can't say that.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
Saw one
But now I'm going to get into another story where something like that happened with Bigfoot. But this happened when I was like an 11-year-old kid.
Oh, this is interesting.
Very interesting. It will be very interesting. And if you don't like it, we're not friends anymore. Okay.
I want to hear.
I will
the
write
story.
you off like I did that girl whose name I can't even remember from when I was 16. She may be listening to the show going like, that was me, and then
That would be really freaky.
that would be, I wouldn't even talk to her. I'd be like, you know what? You had your chance.
Way back
I'm
then.
happily married now.
Yes,
All right.
definitely.
Happily
But hey,
married.
let's hear the story, man. This
Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah.
This is a Bigfoot encounter. Now, I did tell Vic Cundiff this story, and we kicked it around, and I think I might have told Chris Edge too. Chris being, he has a show, The Venomous Fringe. Let me
Yes,
plug that real
yes.
quick. That is an amazing guy. Check out his show, Venomous Fringe.
a lot of good content there, man.
Absolutely.
A lot of good
Check out Vic
content.
Cundiff's Dogman Encounters. He's awesome too.
Hey, for all those dogman junkies out there, hey, if you haven't checked out Vic's channel,
If you can't
or
get
you have
enough-
friends that are interested in it, you can't get enough. I mean, he's got plenty of material
That's right.
there.
If you can't
Plenty.
get enough of the big hairy bipedal canines, let me throw you some episodes out there. Chris does some talking on episode 200, and he talks on the 200th episode, and Chris is on there, and he brings some New Jersey encounters. Also, the 117, like I did 116.
Yes.
And everybody was like, "That's amazing! Whoa, that was awesome!" The stories that I told about some people that owned a ranch, and those are allegedly true stories. And then this guy comes out with 117, and that becomes my wife's favorite episode.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie and say I wasn't a little jealous. I was like, "Look, I poured my heart out into doing the research and talking to people and getting it all done." And then this guy comes out with 117, and I actually felt sorry for that guy because it was, if you remember that episode, it was a dog man that chased him. It chased him. He was in his car. I don't know if you remember.
I'd have, like I said,
Go back in the archives and
I'm gonna have to go check
it
that
out,
one out again.
because that was an amazing episode. But there are a lot of good ones. That one stands out as one of the best ones. I think David Kyleman had the first episode on there or something. I believe he was. Anyway, we're getting off track, but that's a good show. Go check it out. And I just wanted to give them a quick plug because those guys are awesome.
Oh yeah.
But here's the thing.
And of course, just to throw this out there, Vic's also got Bigfoot
Eyewitness,
Radio.
absolutely.
And check him out on his website, everyone. You know, because with all the latest and stuff that goes on with YouTube, nobody ever really knows. So if you want to be certain, go to the websites. Go to those websites. That the stuff is there, and you can get your fill.
That's right, absolutely. So what ended up happening with my Bigfoot?
Oh yeah, hey, let's go into
Let's get this here. I guess I'll tell it simultaneously with my partial UFO encounter, which is like, to this day, never seen a UFO, and I really don't care to, honestly. I've heard that it can be pretty whatever. That encounter like that, yeah, you're with a bunch of friends and you see something flying across the sky, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
But I don't want to get abducted by reptilians or anything like that. I would just not.
Going off of the experiences.
I'm not a
of
good
those
abductee.
people.
I'm not abductee material. I'm thick and I'm big.
Hey,
I'm going to have a hard time getting me on the ship, because if they sedate me, then I'm going to be like an elephant trying to get on there. Even though I've lost 80 pounds, I'm still, big. And I don't think
people,
it's like, they might be like, what, let's just dump him or eat him.
I tell my wife, hey, I used to have a body, worthy of science. Now you could donate my body to science fiction, to quote Rodney Dangerfield,
Yeah.
That's me.
Not Rodney Dangerfield, no respect.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Here's the thing, guys. The Bigfoot story I got, now I'm going to say, I don't want to call it a halfway Bigfoot story, but what happened was I was at a weekend birthday party. And now when I was young, I had a friend, and I don't have permission to say their names. I haven't asked them, but I went to school with this kid, and his family was well-to-do, I guess. They owned some acres out in the country. Mm-hmm. And they invited us for his birthday. I think it was his 10th or 11th. I guess I was already 11. I think he was turning 10. So it was like his 10th birthday. So his parents went all out, and they already had a swimming pool and a lot of nice stuff. They had 4-wheelers. It was cool.
Well, it was
a cool time. You go out there and you had fun. And I remember that. And I remember that I got invited to the slumber party because I was one of the cool kids.
There you go.
I'm just kidding. I was just there. I was just a normal kid back then. Believe me. I was a little skinny kid. Then I became a little fat kid, and then I was a skinny kid. Anyways, I had some eating disorders. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Seriously though,
let's go on with the story.
So they invited me out there to this get together out there at this ranch farm type whatever. They had a nice big house, and what was cool about it was there were about 12 kids out there, and his older brother had a friend or two that was there too. Now his older brother was about 3 or 4 years older than us. No, wait, I want to take that back. Maybe he was even 4 or 5 years older.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he was a little bit older than us, and when you're talking about a 10-year-old, there's a huge difference between a 10 and a 15-year-old.
Yeah, that's
now
huge.
I remember his friend was kind of a he's kind of a jerk. You ever seen Dazed and Confused?
Yes, I've seen.
Paddled.
Yeah.
That was filmed here in Austin, where they paddled. And he was one of the ones that tried to mess with me when I was like a freshman in high school. Yeah. And I actually beat him up. No, I'm not kidding. I could fight. By the time I was a freshman, I was beating up seniors like it wasn't nothing. I was dropping them like dominoes, dude. But this dude tried to mess with me, and I was like, you ain't hazing me, boy. But when I was a little kid,
you're a
little
kid.
And I'll just say his name. It starts with CH. I'm not going to say anything else. This kid, I'll call him Chad. That's close to his name. That's not really his name. Chad thought he could bully me, and of course he could because I was, smaller and weaker,
At that time.
He had testosterone, and so, I didn't have that at the time I was a little kid. So him and my friend's older brother decided that they were going to play a little joke. And they were in the garage and now this is in the age of Nintendo, and everybody was playing. I think it was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out or something.
Oh, that was huge.
It was big back then, and we were all taking turns. We were having like a little tournament. And what was really cool about his mom and dad were like the cool mom and dad.
Oh.
They had gone into town to pick up a bunch of pizzas. And I think it was about 8 miles into town. So they were going to be gone for a little bit. They had to go, and they were going to go and get some more supplies. And the slumber party started Friday afternoon.
Oh, hey.
And it was going to go until Sunday morning.
Oh, wow. A weekend thing.
It was a weekend thing. Yeah. And it was so cool. Great. And it was like summertime.
Oh, yeah.
But I knew this kid from school. And so it was really cool. And so we were having this great time. And then I was waiting my turn to play, whatever the game it was. I don't know if it was Punch-Out. I don't know if you could play 2-player on Punch-Out. I know that it was
you could.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It might have been the pro wrestling one, but we were playing those games and we were just having a great time. We had some kind of like tournament going. And so I was waiting for my turn. So I go out into the garage. And when I go out into the garage, I saw Chad and my friend's older brother, and they're trying to put a cow, well, I'm going to say cow, a steer's head.
Yes.
On top of Chad.
Oh, okay. Like
and one of the other friends was pushing it on him, and they had a trench coat on him.
Oh.
And it looked like they had smushed a cowboy hat over the top, and it just looked so stupid and weird. And so I go out there and I ask these guys, I said, the older guys, and I said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, we're going to scare all your little friends, you F face, they always talk crap,
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you're not going to say anything." And so then I'm like, okay. So I was like, so all right, I guess I'll go back inside before I get punched, And then the one kid, and I can't remember his name, he went to a different school, a smaller town around there, but he was friends with these kids. And he goes, "No, wait a minute." He's like, "He can help us." And I'm like, "Hey, you know what? I'm down to prank the other kids.
Prank the other guys,
I want to be one of the big kids. What's going on?" So they're like, "What you can do is we're going to get you to get all the kids to run to the window because you see something, and then we're going to pop up and scare the
BS out of them,
the crud out of them, And so I said, "Oh, that's awesome. So what is my part again?" And then they told me, and they went over this little plan. So then they went to the back around the house, and it was almost instantaneous that this developed. As soon as the mom and dad left to go into town, to get the supplies or whatever, they were kind of in charge.
Oh, okay.
And there was no hiccups or problems up to that point, so I guess they figured we could leave them for an hour with these three
older kids,
bullying teenagers. Nothing. What could go wrong,
Yeah.
So they leave us with these three tyrants, and so we can. And if y'all listening, you know who you are. It's all in good fun, dude. All right. So sorry I beat you up in high school, but anyway. You were a lot older than me. Hey, you know what? You should have been a better fighter. But anyway, at this point though, I was an underling. So they go to the back of the house, and they're in position, and I see them. Well, something really weird happened. I hear a bunch of kids. There's kids running around in different spots. They're not all together, but the bulk of them are in the den
playing with the game.
And there were three kids that were playing, I don't remember what it was, like Monopoly or something on the table. And unfortunately, even because at that age you really don't want them around, but there were little girls there because he had a sister. So to not feel left out, she had a couple friends, and I think that's who was playing at the table.
The girls.
And so I went over there, and I know her name. And I don't want to. I'm sorry. I should say I don't want to say her name.
Yes,
but I was like, "Hey, you want to see something weird?" I was like, "I just saw something weird in the window," and they're like, "What?" So then I go and get the other kids, and some of them had left the den area that weren't involved in what was going on. And I said, "I just saw something crazy," and I'm trying to get them all to go to the back, where Chad and them had gone, and we're preparing to show them
prank them,
pranking, terrifying thing. So what ended up happening was the kids in the front started screaming. I mean, they started screaming, and then I'm kind of confused, and I'm standing there going like, what is going on? Why are these kids screaming in the other room? Like I was, did they switch it on me? Are we doing this in the front by the den now? Are they in the back? And then I look in the back, and I see my friend's brother waving his hand like, "Come on, we're back here." And they were going to lift Chad up, I guess, on like lift him to make him taller and bigger up in front of a picture window, like a big window, And so he was waving his hand like, "Come on!" But the kids are screaming and yelling
in the
window. Den, and these are the kids that weren't following me. So all the other kids kind of ran back that way, and I'm being waved over by my friend's brother. Yeah. So I go over there to the back window. I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Why are they running away?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Something is going on over there." So I go to the den. I see there's like a window right there, like in this room. I guess it was like a den, whatever. That's where the video games were, like a game room. I should say. And the blinds had been like pulled down, I guess, and the kids were just. It was pandemonium. The kids were going around. I mean, like all my friends were running around, screaming and yelling, going in different directions, and I'm standing there like, "What happened? What happened?" And there's just like all these kids. My one friend Jeremy, he finally said. He's like, "We just saw like a Bigfoot. I don't know what it was. Like it looked like like something. I don't know." Everybody had like a kind of a different description, but then they all kind of started talking about what it was. And so at this point, Through the back door comes Chad. He's angry because the prank didn't go down.
Yeah.
He's like, why are these kids screaming and yelling, and why are they in the front? And I'm like, I don't know, and I'm about to get punched, because it was my job to corral them and get them to go towards
so they could prank them.
so they could scare the heck out of them, because we had been telling a story, I think the night before, about some kind of which actually would sound like a Wendigo creature, but it was something that they had just made up, And he said, yeah, this thing's roaming around out here. Well, anyways, there had been, prior to this, I guess on an adjacent property, and I didn't find this out until way later, a Bigfoot sighting. Somebody had seen what they thought looked like a Bigfoot. Something that had a very wide nose, protruding brows, whatever.
Ridge,
And like I said, I got this story from my cousin.
Oh, okay.
Who told me this story later on, like way later, that right around that same time that neighbor had seen something like that. Now this thing was there, this ape-like looking creature. The best I could figure from the kids that saw it, this thing came right up to the window and was like looking in the window, and it bumped the house. It bumped the glass.
Oh.
And this was a big house, so when I was on the other side near the back of the house, I didn't hear what was going on at the front of the house, and this thing had bumped, and so one of the kids just like what was that? And he goes and he like, how kids, they don't take time they just yank on the blinds and they see it's there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm supposing that this particular kid, whatever,
Opened up those blinds.
When he opened the blind up, he saw it, he fell backwards, holding onto it, and tore the blinds down. So this thing was just sitting there, and they said it was like moving its eyes back and forth, and it was just staring at him. And they said that it had red eyes, like very red eyes, and it just sat there in the window looking at him. And it said it lifted up its top lip. That's what some of the kids had said, and it showed teeth.
Teeth. Oh, wow.
And then at that point, the descriptions kind of differ.
Right.
But I would say probably a dozen kids saw this. If I had to put a number on it,
Damn.
And then it turned and it ran because everybody began to scream and yell. And so as it ran, it went from upright to on all fours, and then jumped over a barbed wire fence, just leaped over it, and was gone into the pasture. And I didn't see it.
Wow, but this is based off all the stories
and for years,
the accounts of all those.
This is messed up because for years, people would talk about it. They'd be like, "Do you remember that time at I don't want to say their name, but at so and so's
party,
birthday party that weekend, and everybody saw Bigfoot?" And I'm like, "No, I remember it, but I did not see it." And I kept having to tell people I did not see it. But most of the people there did.
So they would talk about it amongst themselves for sure.
They talk about it amongst themselves. They'd say it in front of me and in front of whoever.
No, but
and I had to listen to them talk about it and know that I got left out.
No, but I'm saying they obviously
got roped into a prank that didn't work.
Yeah, I'm saying, but they obviously talked about it amongst themselves even later on.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, and heck, the last time I heard anybody talk about it wasn't but a couple years ago.
Oh wow!
One of my friends was on Facebook and was like, do you remember that?" And I'm like, I just told him no. But I mean, I didn't even get into the details. I just said no. I don't want to.
I've told everyone that I was in the other room when this thing that you guys saw.
I didn't see anything. No, I did not. They said it was black, and that the face was black, and that was all. That's all they said. And I asked people throughout the years, did it look like a gorilla? And they said kind of, but not really. There wasn't any. Everybody kind of gave the same description. Over the years, it kind of, but at first, I think everybody was like just kind of debating about what it was, and then maybe they just kind of decided that that's what it was.
They finally solidified it in their mind.
Yeah, and so who knows? I know something happened, and I know that the three pranksters were in the back, trying to pull a prank off, and then at first they were mad at me. Well, after all this stuff happened, of course, some kids ended up calling mom and dads, and they came. No, I mean their moms and dads.
Oh, okay.
And then their moms and dads started coming and picking them up early from the party.
Oh man!
And one kid in particular, I'm not gonna mention his name, but he started like crying and
he was really traumatized, huh?
Yeah, he was actually the one that was at the closest to the window.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
And he just wouldn't stop being a little baby, and so he kind of ruined our weekend there. But whatever, it is what it is. It was already Saturday, and and the next day we were supposed to do some stuff, but we didn't have enough teams to do it, because enough people, because
Yeah, a lot of people had left.
he just was hysterical, and then he got the little girls to cry, and then everybody had to go home. And so there still was about 10 of us left by the next day, or maybe not even 10. But anyway, the point is that that was what happened at that particular slumber party. I'll always remember that, and it was a big mess. And once again, I did not get to see what it was, but I did. Like I said, I've said many times before, I did see a dogman when I was 15, and so that kind of made up for it, I guess. If you want to call it made up for it, because it was
if you want to do the cost benefit analysis, that
terrifying
made up for it.
experience of seeing a dogman made up for not getting to see the terrifying experience of seeing Bigfoot.
I don't know. I mean, if you judge the two, which would you rather see?
I guess as an 11-year-old kid,
I don't think you want to see either one.
Yeah, I don't think you want to see either one, man.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty tossed up. I mean,
yeah. It's up in the air.
I don't want to see either one of these creatures from Rampage,
Yeah.
From the video game Rampage. Ralph,
Yes.
or was it Ralph? And what is it? Ralph is the wolf, right?
Yeah.
And the ape is, I don't remember the ape.
I don't know. All I know is that's like the Rock's buddy, because that's what was on the trailers.
You're talking about the movie, man.
Yeah, the movie. But yeah, I never really played the game, but I saw it. That was really interesting.
Get out of here. I love that game. That game was awesome.
Oh, no, I loved it. I just never
Lizzie was the reptile.
Yeah, I never got around to playing it. I liked watching. My little brother used to play the dog out of it. I mean, and he was good at it too. I just watched because I think. Well,
the ape was actually a female.
I think I may have tried playing it once, and I really wasn't that good at it. So I just watched my little brother do it.
So, anyways, folks, I guess that's going to wrap it up for today. That's a Bigfoot story that almost happened for me, and a UFO encounter that almost happened for me. I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, next episode, we're going to be doing some Devil's Backbone.
Yeah, just like, we can't say it enough. We can't say it enough.
It's going to be creepy.
Man.
It's going to creepify. Is that a word? I don't know if that's a word.
Creepify? I don't know.
I think we can make it a word.
I think so.
I think we make creepify a word. So that's going to be it for today, and I hope you enjoyed my ghost stories of a supermarket that I worked at as a kid. And
actually, I just thought about this. These were two stories that involved you, but you didn't experience anything. That's really interesting.
Well, that's why I told them together.
No, that's what I'm saying. But this is interesting because usually, ghost stories, all the stuff you told me about the house over over all this time I've known you.
I guess that's right, because I mean, like I was actually, I didn't even think about that. The FoodLand stories did not happen to me.
Yeah. But you were there.
The Bigfoot story did not happen to me.
But you were there.
I was there.
Yeah.
And then the UFO story kind of happened to me. I mean,
Well, you were there.
Stretching the truth. Okay, I saw a UFO, but being honest, no.
It was at most it was a glimpse, right?
It was a glimpse of something. And over the years, I've actually wondered if maybe I just put that in there so I could be a part of it. My memory says that, but memory isn't all.
Memory is
sketchy at times. And you know what? That's another thing I want to talk about real briefly before we go. The Mandela effect.
Yeah,
you got to do your research on that, people. The Mandela effect, that's going to come up in a future episode. We're going to talk about that because a lot of people remember things differently than other people. And it's so weird for me. I have a lot of weird Mandela things that happen. I watch shows.
Oh, yeah.
And when I go back, the things will be different. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's really bizarre.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is. I mean, I've had a lot of people tell me a lot of stuff about the Mandela effect. They talk about it all the time. I'm in one of their groups. But anyways, folks, I'm going to go ahead and plug that email. It's daswolfman88@gmail.com. That's daswolfman88@gmail.com. You got to get on there and you got to send me your weird, creepy, your creepifying stories.
Yeah, send us your accounts. I mean, we're more than happy to talk about them and tell them.
George. That's his name.
Yeah.
The Rampage guy is George, and it's the ape is George. The Ralph is the wolf, and Lizzie was the reptile. So funny thing though, that game has a lot more characters though. If you play the
actual video game,
the bigger versions,
yes.
like the for like PlayStation 3 and 4 or whatever, it gets into a lot of crazy characters. I think the best one of that was the original PlayStation one.
Yeah, because
you could like pick up the humans and throw them at each other.
Well, you're talking way after my time. I remember it still being a video game console. Wait a minute, I just told everybody how old I am, right? It's all good.
No, that came, but it was still, there was one level called Dickens. Like I guess it was based on Charles Dickens or something. It was this funny level.
Well, the George,
and you could pick up cars and people and throw them and
yes.
hit them and stuff. But it wasn't like you were destroying the buildings.
Right.
I don't know if anybody remembers that. You're probably going like, I don't know what you're talking about. And you know what?
All right.
Thanks to the Mandela effect, it's probably changed.
Yeah, quite possibly. But guess what? Lovely game. It was actually quite innovative for when it came out, and then of course back then.
That was one of the more popular ones that stood the test of time. I mean,
yeah. It's
and by the way, anybody that likes that game, you can actually get the arcade, the actual arcade, a smaller version of it. They sell them at like Fry's and Sam's and I think I saw one at Sam's and Costco
and possibly Walmart.
They're $3.50. Yeah, and I think that I saw some really beat up ones at Christmas time at Walmart. Walmart, man. Oh my gosh.
The people of Walmart. Ooh.
Yeah, we could do a show about the zombies of Walmart. I could tell you right now, I've seen some things at Walmart. I've seen some things, man. I've seen some things.
Hey, we're gonna have to look at that,
Well, hey, how much time we got? We got a second?
Yeah, we got a second.
Let me tell you a quick Walmart story. Won't take but two seconds.
All right.
I saw a guy and a girl walk into Walmart. That's 2 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. Seriously, I saw a guy and a girl walk into Walmart. I'm not kidding. I was with my wife. This was probably about a year ago. And she was leading him on a leash.
Well, that's not.
And he was dressed like a woman, with this weird, and she was dressed in these stiletto heels, and she was just walking around holding him while she shopped by the leash, and everybody was just staring, and he had no shirt on, and I'm thinking, what happened to no shirt, no shoes, no service?
Exactly. It's just.
But I guess the collar, that's enough now.
There you go.
To cover you up.
That may be.
So I don't know.
All right.
So folks, that's all the time we have for tonight. But good day, good night, wherever you're from, wherever you may be, whatever planet you're on, whatever UFO you're in, whatever grocery store you're getting haunted in. Good night, sayonara.
Hey, y'all have a good one.
See ya.